Hey Asmonauts, hope you guys are doing well. I'm here today to bring you a first place Magnet Warrior Adamancipator deck profile. Yeah, weird, I know. I'll be going over the deck profile, my matchups, some thoughts on the deck and strategy, and then I'll try to show some combos at the end of the video as well. So, let's get right on into it. So firstly, for the monsters in the main deck, I'm running one Berserkion. He's kind of just a boss monster of the deck. Nothing too special about him. You summon him and you can get a non-once per turn pop. This is where it gets kind of cool. 3 Epsilon. So funny enough, this actually came out in the latest set. Let's see, Bach. I can't remember the set name, but essentially what he does is he does the same exact thing as the other level 4 Magnet Warrior, except this one can revive a separate Magnet Warrior from grave. So you normal or special summon this, and then it sends a Magnet Warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then you can summon a Magnet Warrior or a Magna Warrior from your graveyard with a different name. That can be Berserkion if you need it to be, which is why I only run the one, because if the one dies, I can just recycle it with this. 2 Alpha, self-explanatory, just searches Berserkion. 2 Beta, searches the other Magnet Warriors. 2 Gamma, this is essentially the entire Magnet Warrior package I'm running. 3 just bricks really hard. I think 2 is a very good kind of middle ground. You can run more than one Berserkion too if you want to maximize the package, but 2 Berserkion just kind of seemed to brick more to me, and I only ever really needed the one. Moving on to the Adamancipator monsters though, I am running 3 Analyzer, 3 Seeker, and 3 Researcher. This is pretty much staple in every Adamancipator deck you'll see. These are just your starters and extenders. All they're here for is to make sure that you can actually make a board. The Magnet Warriors themselves cannot make very good boards. These are kind of the crutches of the deck. And then, of course, 2 Dragite. I was running 3, but 3 was breaking really hard, and there would be a lot of times where I would go Dragite effect and then draw into another Dragite. So that just kind of felt really fucking bad. I decided to not do that. 2 Gate Blocker. The reason I run 2 is because there is a lot of Mystic Mine and a lot of just spell and spell counter decks at locals the past few weeks. So this was my out to that, because if I normal summon the Gate Blocker, they essentially have to either have Torrential or Judgment or something, just something to get rid of it. And if they couldn't get rid of it, well, the Mystic Mine is dead. I can just OTK them through it. 1 Koa'ki Meiru Guardian. Guardian did not come up at all today, actually. It was really funny, mostly because I didn't see it. I don't think I ever really needed it either, because I could already handle monsters with Crystal Wing and Dragoon and such, but yeah, it's okay. I kind of do want to run a bigger Koa'ki Meiru engine, but there's just not a whole lot of space, personally. 2 Doki Doki. You never want to summon this card. If you summon this card, your hand is bad. Or, I guess, if your hand is really good, this is bait. It's all it's there for. Every time I summoned this, it got stopped. And there were, I believe there were 2 games where I summoned this, it got stopped, and I couldn't do anything else. But there was either 1 or 2 games where I opened this, and I opened Seeker and Researcher, and I'd just go full combo anyway. They're like, oh, I'm gonna Ash or Impermanence. I'm like, cool, psych. Re-Ash. Self-explanatory. You don't like your opponent to play. And then, of course, the Dragoon package with the Ulti Dark Magician, the common Red Eyes Black Dragon. Oh, man. And then, that's all for the monsters. I'm not running a whole lot of spells. I am running a pretty spicy spell, if I do say so myself, but I'm running 2 signs. Just revive stuff from grave. Pretty good, pretty good. 1 cold buy. You don't want to get ashed or bailored or what have you. 1 magnet induction. I was running this at 3, but not only did it start clogging, but most times I actually ended up not wanting to summon the magnet warriors from hand. 1 magnetic field. This is unironically my Dragoon out. It also has a pretty neat effect where you can revive a magnet warrior from grave. Speaking of Dragoon, there's the Red Eyes Fusion. Obviously, can't be running the Red Eyes stuff without Red Eyes Fusion. And then my spicy little one of here. Reasoning. This went off every time today, and the funny thing, I hit Red Eyes Black Dragon with this, because they called 2, and I revealed the top card of my deck. It was Red Eyes Black Dragon, summoned into my field, and I actually, because of that, I ended up, I could still do Dragoon combo, I just left it on the field, but I normal Doki Doki, Special Researcher, baited out a Baylor or whatever with Researcher, because my opponent thought that I couldn't do Vert if I had Red Eyes Black Dragon on the field. So I baited the Baylor, made Vert, and then sent Red Eyes Fusion, and funny thing, Red Eyes Fusion says from hand, deck, or field. So I made Dragoon, he was like, well, okay, cool, I guess I lose. Awesome. And then, the only trap in the deck, 3 Imperm. This came in clutch a lot today. I got to stop the DPE scythe stuff at least 2 or 3 times with this card. Into the extra deck, I'm running 1 Crystal Wing. You only really need 1 Dragite. Only ever really needed 1 either, because I could make Barkion, I can make Nat Beast. So this was just kind of like, oh, I have 2 level 4s, I can't make Nat Beast or Barkion, I'll just make this. 2 Raptite, absolutely the best Adamancipator card, hands down. This thing saved me so many games. They would stop the initial play, but because I would have a level 4 and a level 2, I would just make this, and then yank 5 off the top, and I just keep going. And if I didn't hit something that would help me to keep going, I would just go into Vert and make Dragoon. 1 Dawn Dragster, because there is an awkward spot where you have Analyzer and you have a Magnet Warrior, and those 2 don't really make anything besides Vert, so I would just make Dawn Dragster with those, if I could already get to Vert if I needed to. Plus it's just another spell and trap negation, which is always pretty good. 1 Barkion, Ghost Rare Barkion, because that's the best Barkion. This is just for macro like Eldritch and stuff. Unless they have Strike. If they have Strike, then it's dead in the water. But being able to negate Sanguine and Conk and everything is really good. Nat Beast, obviously, you're running level 3 Earths with level 2 Tuner Earths, so not running this would be a literal sin. Gallant Granite, self-explanatory, just search Researcher. Dweller, or you can search Nibiru, I guess, but I didn't run Nibiru, so. Gorgonic Guardian, this card is really funny. So you reduce an opponent's monster's attack to 0, and if you do, its effects are negated. And then once per turn, you can destroy a monster your opponent controls with 0 attack. I ended up baiting out Appaloosa with this. And after baiting out the Appaloosa, I used it to make a Nightmare Phoenix to pop the Fog Blades. And then I went Unicorn to shuffle back, I believe I tried to shuffle back the other Fog Blade. And I had just enough in hand to keep going, so I made Vert. And made Dragoon, and he couldn't stop it. Moving on to the links, though, we've got Saryuja. If your hands are really bad, but you can get 4 monsters on the board at least, you just make Saryuja, and then hope they don't have Ash. But I guess at that point they probably would have already used Ash, because if you have 4 monsters on board, you use some of your effects. 1 Unicorn, self-explanatory. 1 Phoenix, self-explanatory. Vert, and Dragoon. That rounds off the extra deck. I think Dragoon was probably most definitely the MVP of this weekend. Most of the Adamancipator stuff, they would just Ash, Imperm, Veiler, do whatever they wanted to, and I would always end up making Vert when they stopped the Adamancipator stuff. Just getting the look on your opponent's face when you make a Vert and go effect, and you send the Red Eyes Fusion from deck to grave, they look so defeated. It's hilarious. Moving on to my matchups today, round 1 was Sky Striker, round 2 was Phantom Knights, and round 3 was Prank Kids. Against Sky Striker, game 1 I lost the die roll, so they chose to go first. I opened a pretty terrible hand. I had Dark Magician, Doki Doki, double of the Epsilon, Imperm, and Called By. The Striker player set 4, and one of the set was There Can Be Only One, which absolutely just destroys the strategy. So I wasn't really doing anything. I tried to Called By Ray, and they chained Imperm, because I had Researcher on board under There Can Be Only One, so it kind of just fizzled. Or not Researcher, Doki Doki, my bad. Game 2, I made Nat Beast and Dragoon, and that's just kind of self-explanatory. Striker can't out Nat Beast Dragoon unless they draw either Dark Roller or Droplets. Game 3, I had to go second, but I opened Hey True Nade and Harpy's Feather Duster. He set 2. I thought that one of them might have been a Judgment, so I went Hey True Nade first, and they both went back to hand. After the match was over, he told me that he had a There Can Be Only One set. I told him that he misplayed because he could have activated it in response to Hey True Nade, but he didn't. Regardless, I had the Harpies for it though, and after that I pretty much had full combo. I had Researcher and Doki Doki in hand, and I normal Doki Doki, and then special Researcher. He Veilered the Researcher, so I just went Vert, Dragoon, and then that was pretty much it. Round 2, game 1, Phantom Knight went first. He made the full DPE Scythe and Appaloosa board. I had an Imperm for the DPE, but I had to also work through 4 other monster negates, which were the Fog Blades and the Appaloosa for 2. I actually ended up cracking the board somehow. Tried to shotgun a lot of the stuff out first, and I ended up making Phoenix to pop a Fog Blade, and then I made Unicorn to shuffle a Fog Blade back. And then I summoned Berserkion and went Battle Phase to try to hit the Appaloosa, which successfully went through because he couldn't stop it. And then main phase 2 I made Vert and then just made Dragoon, and it got down to pretty much a top deck war, but he was able to give me an ultimatum where if I didn't stop the Torn Scales and Grave, he would have access coded and killed the Dragoon. So I stopped that. Dragoon went to 4k, but it didn't matter because he just made Break Sword, hit, it died, revived the 2, and then he made Redoer, and then went into Zeus. And then just pretty much reset the board state. Game 2 I made Crystal Wing, Dragoon, Nat Beast, and that was just enough. Game 3, it started to go into time. He had a minute left on the clock, and he burned himself with Anaconda's effect. It was hilarious. He ended up getting the Scythe Lock on me, but I spent the last 50 seconds of the match just going full combo with everything I had, and putting all of my monsters in defense position so that he wouldn't be able to kill me on his turn. And I looked up at the clock, there were 7 seconds left, and I went Battle Phase. And then as I went Battle Phase, they called time in the round. I was like, okay, cool, sick. Let's go. Round 3, game 1, Prank Kids went first. I opened Red Eyes Fusion, and yeah, there's nothing else I need to say about that. He didn't have the Ash. I activated it, and his worry was I need to stop Bert because he knew what I was playing. And because I hard opened the Red Eyes Fusion, He was just like, okay, cool, game 2. Game 2, he went first again, and I bricked on Double Ash, a Doki Doki, Adamancipator Signs, and Red Reboot. The reboot was doing nothing. I pretty much set it in because he was running Trap, Prank Kids, and also Imperm kind of hurts. So I was like, I gotta weigh my options here. I set the Ash and passed turn. He normaled Lampsies, linked it out, and went effect, so I ashed it, and then he passed turn. Then I top decked Analyzer, so I normaled Analyzer, went, okay, I'm gonna effect. He let it go through. Worst mistake of his life. Because I top decked a Gate Blocker, and if you know what Gate Blocker does, this guy right here, your other monsters can be targeted for card effects. Also, field spells are negated, and your opponent can't place counters on the field. So, I ripped the blocker off the top, summoned it in defense position, and then I flipped the Ash face up and used Analyzer and Ash to make Vert, and I went Vert effect. He tried to Ash it, which was really funny, because then I had to explain to him that cost isn't part of the effect. But he also couldn't target it with like Veil or Imperm or anything because Gate Blocker. But yeah, I made Dragoon, popped his board, and that was pretty much it. Oh, game 2 I even lead, but it didn't even matter because he just made Battle Butler anyway. I was like, okay, cool. Outside of that, the deck did pretty well. It was kind of sad that a lot of the Adamancipator stuff didn't get to resolve, but, I mean, just making Dragoon when your opponent hand traps you always feels good. It also always feels bad because you know that you're just riding on a towers. Riding on a towers never feels good, but it feels good when your opponent is like, hey, I opened 3 hand traps, pal. You're not playing the goddamn game today. I'm gonna make sure of it. So, yeah. This deck has an answer for every strategy in the game. It really does, I swear. I promise. I promise. Those are my thoughts on the deck, and I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, I hope you guys have a lovely day, lovely night, wherever you're from, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Hey, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile, and if you'd like to see a combo video, make sure to let me know down in the comments, and as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later.